DFS Huddle is back as we continue to journey through the offseason and do our best to get you ready for some season-long drafts. So for those of you joining us for the first time, thank you for watching. Please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. That helps us out more than you know. Leave your comments, your questions, all that in the comment section. We appreciate that. So here's what we got. This season, Eric and I are going to be breaking down every DFS football slate that we possibly can. Especially looking forward to the Thanksgiving slate, as I just think off the top of my head. But before that, we want to present you with just some season-long stuff. We've already got videos out for quarterback rankings, getting you along for your season-long drafts, running back, tight end. So be sure to check those videos out on whatever platform you're watching. Watch it on my YouTube channel, Eric's, Instagram, wherever the hell it is. Wherever you're watching it, please like that, hit the like button, check out the previous content. When DFS starts, we're going to have a Patreon set up for you guys with weekly, monthly, season-long plans, giving you all of our research, wide receiver, quarterback matchups weekly for every slate, rankings, lineup building, construction, all sorts of good stuff. So that's all right here at the DFS Huddle. We certainly appreciate you guys. And of course, I do want to preface this. We're talking wide receivers in terms of PPR scoring. That's what DFS is. That's what typically most leagues that you want to play in are nowadays, are PPR scoring, which means point per reception. So that's the basis that we're talking about this. Those are the average draft positions I'll be talking about, the scoring last year, etc. So Eric, this year is interesting because pretty much the consensus is a receiver's going number one overall this year. You don't really typically see that all that often. Jamar Chase is the clear-cut number one. Any reason he should not be the clear-cut number one?
If he gets hurt. Honestly, when you look what he does, he was the wide receiver triple crown winner with reception and yards TDs. Bengals, top 2 in pass rate over expectation for 3 straight years. 26.4% target share, 10.1 per game. Efficiency, 2.45 yards per route run, 6.3 yards after catch, 24th missed tackles, second amongst wide receivers. ADOT dropped to 9, but his yards after the catch rose. 18 red zone targets, most in the NFL. Defense, and I'm putting this politely, is absolute dog shit. So they're never going to be out of games sitting on the ball. They're always going to have to score. They're always going to have to pass. And he's best friends with the quarterback. He bought a house next to the quarterback. He goes to practice and goes to games with the quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, so if there's a game where he doesn't get the ball and they're driving back, like, dude, what the fuck? Throw me the ball. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, perfect situation. If I have the top pick, I am taking Jamar Chase. If I have the second pick and Jamar Chase is there, I'm doing a backflip. I would die to have Jamar Chase on my team.
He scored a full 5 fantasy points more per game than the next closest guy. He scored 403 fantasy points overall. Those are quarterback numbers. Justin Jefferson, for comparison, had 317 fantasy points on 103 catches. He had 17 touchdowns. I can't imagine that goes anywhere for 17 touchdowns. I think it's pretty clear cut, Jamar Chase. So my question is, if you do not have the number one overall pick, okay, so Jamar Chase is gone. It's over. He's been taken number one overall. Are you still going receiver first round? And if so, what do we do? To me, Justin Jefferson, who's a great player, was the consensus league's best receiver till last year when Jamar Chase said, no, thank you, hold my beer. I'm the best receiver in the league. But now we're looking at a rookie quarterback, essentially, who's never played a game in the NFL, is taking over that offense. Does this look like, what does that do? Well, like right now, would you rather have Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, or Justin Jefferson? Because we've got established quarterback, and then we've got, holy shit, what are we getting at quarterback? In my view, in Justin Jefferson. How early do you jump?
The person I want to have had the most games last year where he saw 8 targets. Can you guess who that wide receiver is?
Probably Puka Nacua.
Malik Neighbors.
Oh, Malik Neighbors. Well, new quarterback situation there, too.
But
Russell Wilson? Wilson.
He still was getting the ball with fucking Tommy Two-Time, whatever, Tommy DeVito, whatever his name was. Timmy Boyle was throwing him the ball. the Bull just is going to scheme the way to get him the ball. 28th EPA, new quarterback room, as you mentioned, 11.1 targets per game, most in the NFL, 32.2% target share, broke the rookie reception record, 109, unrealized air yards, 876, room from explosion growth, massive yards after the catch, clear number one. Like, dude, he is, no matter who's going to throw him the ball, he's always going to be the first read. And the Giants are going to be bad. Questions everywhere around the field. I think in terms of question marks, I think he has less question marks than Jefferson. Nakua, how much does Davante Adams cut into everything? CeeDee Lamb, how much does Pickens cut in everything? My worry with my boy St. Brown, Morton, the offensive coordinator, is going to let Goff call the plays at the line. This is why Jared Goff was ran out of LA. He couldn't do that. Now, something this quarterback can't do, Morton's going to have him do. Is that going to affect everything? As crazy as it sounds, I think Malik Nabers has the least amount of question marks, and I'd probably draft him in the first round. I mean, Justin Jefferson, if it wasn't for McCarthy, I mean, 9.9 targets per game, 100.5 yards per game, 20.3 fantasy points per game.
Jordan Addison's also going to be gone the first 3 games because of a DUI suspension.
Leads league in 20-plus yards, 132 since entering the NFL. But McCarthy doesn't like to chuck the ball down the field. That's like, if it wasn't for JJ McCarthy, I would be all in on JJ. But
so
I have worries about him.
He's going right now, ADP on ESPN Snake Drafts, 4.7. So he's being drafted in the top 5. My questions to you is, at pick 5 or pick 4, are you taking Jamar Chase is off the table?
Okay.
So at pick 4, are you taking a running back or are you taking a wide receiver? Are you trying to go wide receiver? So you mentioned Malik Nabers. His ADP is 12.7. So he's going early second, late first, depending on.
So if I wasn't, Jefferson's off the table, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, at pick, no, he'd be. So let's just say in a perfect world, Jefferson's there. I pick
Jefferson. Like if I had picked
over Bijan Robinson or over Jahmyr Gibbs. Let's say Jahmyr Gibbs is going 5.3. Jefferson's going 4.7. So they're going about the same spot. Jahmyr Gibbs, Justin Jefferson.
I would pick Bijan over Justin. I would pick Justin over Barkley and Gibbs.
See, I would take Gibbs over Justin.
And I mean,
I think CeeDee Lamb I would take over. CeeDee Lamb, we know. I don't love the Cowboys, and we know they brought in George Pickens, but CeeDee Lamb's going to get the ball a fucking ton.
10 targets a game since 2021. Only to
Amon-Ra St. Brown, I still think we'll see the ball a ton.
I just have questions about Goff. You know what I mean?
And then another receiver going in the first round, Puka Nacua, going at 10.1, going above Malik Nabers, going above Nico Collins, going above Brian Thomas. Puka Nacua, they bring in Davante Adams, who's wide receiver 14. He's being drafted in the 4th round. He's going to take that.
Stafford is such a first-read quarterback, though. You know, is that going to?
That's what. So are both of these receivers being a little overvalued? You have Kyron Williams, who's going to be a top 10 running back. He should be. Just signed him to a new extension.
I think.
What do we do with these Rams receivers?
I think with the Rams, you just kind of have to take one guy and just put your fork in the ground, stake in the ground, flag in the ground, whatever, and just say, hey, I'm going to take Puka, or I'm going to take Kyron, or Devontae is going to cut into him. When we talk Puka, 3.88 yards per route run, 6.7 yards after the catch, 21.8 fantasy points per game, second to only Jamar Chase. It's tough to pass up those numbers. I mean, right now where Puka's going at the end of the first round, I mean, if Nabers and Gentry are off the table, I would definitely take Puka. St. Brown, I'm a little bit apprehensive when I mentioned the Morton stuff. When we talk CeeDee Lamb, he's going to be a top 5 wide receiver because of his volume and his floor. I mean, wide receiver, last 3 years, wide receiver 8, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 7. 17.6 points a game, 23.7 points a game, 17.7. So he's going to get 18 points a game. And Schottenheimer's offense, more fast pace equals more plays and more targets.
Yeah, it's so what we do here, so when you look at wide receivers, it's a bit deeper of a position than is the running back position, right? Like Mike Evans is going 5th round.
Yeah.
Like that's the first Tampa Bay receiver coming off the board. Jackson Smith and Jigba, who was a target monster and then gets an upgrade at quarterback with Sam Darnold. He's going in the 4th round, 38 overall. Terry McLaurin, we'll see what happens with his contract. DJ Moore down here going in the 7th round. Zay Flowers, 7th round. Rashee Rice. Cortland Sutton, 7th, almost 8th round. So you can get quality receivers much later in the draft than you can get quality running backs. How does that factor in with your draft strategy early on in drafts?
I mean, I think you got to have guys you want to take and just kind of play it by ear. I mean, there's certain guys you mentioned that I kind of have my red flags about. I'm not really that high on JSN. He's going to be moving from the slot to the outside. Cooper Kupp, how's he going to cut in to it? Also, it's going to be a run first offense. And when you look at him, he was really like a hit and miss guy. If you just look at his fantasy points per game, I think he had the most out of wide receivers that finished in the top 10 where he had less than 10 points per game. So that's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like he's just a hit or miss type of guy, and there's no more DK Metcalf. Teams always are going to have their best DBs on DK Metcalf. Now you're going to have the team's best DBs. How is that going to look? Sure. Remember, what's his face? Smith-Schuster. When AB left, everyone was hyping Smith-Schuster, and he really struggled with that pressure. One of the guys, he is going off right now at pick 44, 43.9, Garrett Wilson. 3 straight 1,000 yards wide receivers. 1,000-yard season. Career high 101 receptions last year. 14.8 fantasy points per game. Now, Devontae Adams, who had 114 targets with the Jets last year, is gone. Who's going to take those targets? Not Josh Reynolds. Not Allen Lazard. Maybe the rookie tight end, Mason Taylor. But I think that Justin Fields, who went to college with who went to college with Garrett Wilson, is going to force him the ball. 78 receptions, over 1,000 yards at Ohio State. And Fields has shown he can produce elite wide receiver production. DJ Moore, 16.9 fantasy points per game, wide receiver 9 in 2023. Garrett Wilson as wide receiver 16, I think is an absolute steal. But then after that, there's a lot of question marks, man. I could pull a red flag in all these wide receivers after this. And that's kind of like the thing that has me worried, where if I can get a JJ, a Neighbors, a Chase, I'm going to go after him. Even an AJ Brown.
Seems to be there. So let me ask you about this Lad McConkey, right? Should be, he's going average ADP, going early 4th round, pick 32. The Chargers yesterday reunite with Keenan Allen, who in his last full season with the Chargers set a team record, had 108, 109 catches. He was Justin Herbert's boy. I mean, that's Justin Herbert's guy. Then Lad McConkey last year, he's gone for 1 year in Chicago, 70 catches, 700 yards. Not the same production, comes back. What does Keenan Allen, I think, jumps up the board in terms of PPR. And what does that do? Does that hurt Lad McConkey's value? Or are we worried more about the rookie that they drafted, Trey Harris?
On Lad McConkey, one of my future bets is his under in receiving yards. And when we just kind of look at it, it's a tale of two halves for him. The first half of the season, 3.75 catches, 55 yards per game. Second half of the season, when they played softer defenses, 5.8 catches, 83.2 yards per game. Left 3 games early. Now he's probably going to garner more defensive attention. He's really not that physical. Chargers 28th in pass attempts last season. It's, for me, I do not want anything to do with Lad McConkey. My trust in you is I break everyone off into wide receiver tiers. Guess what tier I had Tyreek Hill in?
I don't know. Where do you have? He's going ADP right now, 29.9, wide receiver 12. So he's going in the 4th round of drafts.
I had him tier 5. Wow. Tier 5, Age and injury have caught up to him. Route participation, a career low, less than 75% in 10 of 17 games. 1.99 yards per route run, 7.8 yards per target, lowest since his rookie year. You have no idea what's going on with Tua. Is Tua going to be able to stay on the field? Tyreek Hill, for me, unless this is an absolute value, unless he just starts dropping, I really want nothing to do with him. The bigger question is Marvin Harrison going to take that big step? 62, 885 yards, 8 TDs, 14.2 ADOT as the X wide receiver, struggled with vertical and curl routes and man coverage. Just 63.8% of man coverage targets were catchable. I run heavy, but it is going to be a year two. Is Marvin Harrison, who had all the hype in the world coming out of college, is he going to have that breakout this year? Are you going to draft Marvin Harrison? I guess that's my question to you.
He's going right now ADP 50. I look at the wide receivers in his area. Mike Evans is awfully close. I'll take Mike Evans every day, all day over him. I think Mike Evans is going a little bit late in drafts. You're getting Cortland Sutton after him. I'd rather have Cortland Sutton. I'd rather have DJ Moore. I'd rather have Zay Flowers. So probably not. I'm probably not going to get there. So one other guy I wanted to ask you about in the top 10 was Drake London.
I'm down on Penix this year. I'm not.
So I thought I might be too, but let's just take a look. When Michael Penix took over as the starter, it was later in the year. I think it was.
He played 10. The last 3 games, and the thing with that is
look at Drake London's targets. 22 targets in those 3 games. Did have that massive Week 18 game against Carolina where he had 18 targets. 31 targets over the last 2 games with Michael Penix at quarterback against Washington and Carolina.
But if you take out that Carolina game, you know what I mean? I kind of feel like that stuff's a little skewed. And the thing with me is I always look at offenses and fits. Now, what they did when Cousins played is London lined up in the slot more. Penix doesn't like to target the slot. They had to move London out wide because Penix likes to throw the ball down the field. This is a Sean McVay type offense where it's a lot of underneath, get the ball in the hands quickly, not a vertical threat offense. For that is my worry. Now, you mentioned the final 3 games, 13 targets a game, 45.1% first read rate, 50.6% yard share. That's a true number one. My thing is if you like Drake London, you have to like Mike Penix, and I'm just down on Mike Penix. My question to you is, would you be interested in this guy? I just got to find what my stats for him real quick. Where did that SOB go? Would you be interested in a wide receiver, 23.3% target share, 7.8 targets a game, 31% first read rate, only wide receiver on his team with a greater than 15% target share, led the team in air yards, 44.9%, had 135 targets, over 1,000 yards, 5th highest graded PFF guy in versus man coverage, leading, tied with Jamar Chase, 18 red zone targets. Would you be interested in this wide receiver?
Isn't it funny that I already know who it is? I think it's Cortland Sutton. I'm pretty sure that's who that is.
Son of a bitch, dude. This is why I love you, dude. This is why I fucking love you, dude. Yeah, it is. It's Cortland.
And his ADP right now, he's going way down here. I expect him to have a better year. You're going to get a better version of Bo Nix. You'd expect his ADP 69.7. So you're getting this guy in 7th or the 8th round. That's why I think taking running backs a little bit earlier, and then unless you're picking Jamar Chase number 1 overall in the first round, I'm going running back, and I'm probably doing it round 2 as well. There's a lot of wide receivers going late in drafts, and you just nailed it on the head with Cortland Sutton going pick 69.7. Guys after him in that same range that you could. Rashee Rice is going again. You got to keep an eye on Rashee Rice. Will he be in trouble? Devontae Smith, Travis Hunter, who a lot of question marks there. Calvin Ridley, who I think could have a good year for the Titans, the clear-cut number 1. George Pickens, if we like CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens could be a sneaky guy, a touchdown guy on the other end for Dallas. Jalen Waddle, Jameson Williams, who I love as a boomer bust guy for Detroit this year. So some guys down the list. Then you get into like the Chris Olaves, Cooper Kupps, Roman Adunze, and Tetwara McMillan, who I will have no part of. What is going on? Why are people drafting this guy so high?
I'll tell you what. The guy that I'm interested in that is a deep sleeper, but it all depends on who the quarterback is. It all depends. Cedric Tillman. If it is Flacco or Sanders, I am going to be in on Cedric Tillman. Now, I know he got hurt to end the season, but that 3-week stretch that he was healthy, he averaged 18.6 fantasy points a game. That's the same as Jefferson and St. Brown. For that 3-game stretch after they traded Amari Cooper and he took that rollover in the offense, he was a stud. If it's Flacco or Sanders, those guys that like to push the ball down the field, Cedric Tillman.
It's going to be them. It's not going to be like Dylan Gabriel is not a professional quarterback. I be on the team.
If it's small hand Pickens, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be Kenny Pickett either. Shador's going to start the preseason opener. We're recording this on a Wednesday. He's going to start the preseason opener Friday. Shador Sanders is starting that game for the Browns because of the injuries and whatnot. He should end up being the QB too. Like drafting Dylan Gabriel was just obnoxious and fucking stupid. The guy is an excellent high school player and a cool little, but that dude does not have a professional arm or a professional quarterback bone in his fucking body. The Cleveland Browns are such a dipshit franchise. The whole fucking franchise. They're just stupid. They're ran by an absolute moron. I mean, just they get what they deserve, but it should be Flacco. It'll probably be Flacco, and Shador should be the number 2. I have a deep sleeper. One deep sleeper who I really like.
Okay.
Rookie wide receiver. You have a high volume passing team with good receivers around him. Chris Godwin is going to be out for at least the first 6 weeks. I love me some Emeka Egbuka. I already did some rookie of the year futures on this guy. He's going 128.5. He's going to 13th round right now. I think this kid, you're going to have Jalen McMillan. If you look at the rookie Jalen McMillan last year, what he did, especially the second half of the year, and with the injuries to Godwin, he was a big time target for Baker Mayfield. I think Emeka Egbuka fits in beautifully with this offense. Love him, and you can get him very late in drafts. It's a sleeper that I like. Should we close it out with this? Just some teams whose wide receivers you don't like. I want nothing to do with the Green Bay Packers. None of them. Not Matthew Golden, not Romeo Doubs, not Jalen Reed. I want nothing to do with that Packers passing offense at all. Maybe some Tucker Kraft late if I get a deal on him at tight end. That's it.
I mean, when it comes to people that teams, I just don't want anything to do with it. The Saints, obviously, with what's rolling out at the quarterback position, Chris Olave and Brandon Cooks walking concussions. I'm sorry, both those guys with the huge concussion injuries. We don't know what's going to happen there. The Bears. I mean, to me, the Bears are interesting, but we don't know who's going to play the slot. That whole offense is guaranteed to the slot.
DJ Moore. It'll be DJ Moore. He was playing the slot 80% of his snaps last year.
So. But they drafted Luther Burden early. Will they put him at the slot? I mean, to me.
Well, if you look, they had both Keenan Allen and DJ Moore in the slot a ton last year. And they both were, they both had more than 70 catches. So it's probably going to be something like that.
Now, another deep sleeper. I mean, to me, probably not to you, probably for you, you have him really high. Jacoby Myers, 24.5% target share, 9 targets a game, 32.7% first read rate, 16.1 fantasy points per game, 16th wide receiver pace before he got hurt, has posted 4 straight top 30 fantasy points. Absolutely intrigued by him. We talked a lot about Tony Pollard. What about Calvin Ridley?
Yeah.
Posted 1,000 yards despite erratic Will Levis. 22.1% target share, 44.4% air yards. I mean, Jesus, when you talk about him, that's interesting. You mentioned rookie wide receivers, and I know I'm going on a tangent. I apologize for that. Jake Beck from the Raiders. The Raiders have 174 vacated targets, 5th most in the league. Beck, granted, will probably be the 3rd option behind Myers and Bowers, and they're going to look to run the ball. But if you're in one of these teams that have a 3 wide receiver league and a flex, Jake Beck may be that dude you look a little bit And I don't want anything to do with the Ravens. Like, I don't want.
I like Zay Flowers. The targets for Zay Flowers when he was healthy were there. They did lose Duvers. Some of those guys that are taking those deep ball touchdowns. I think Zay Flowers will get a ton of targets. You have Isaiah Likely a little bit banged up. He'd be the one I would take. And I wouldn't take him before the 8th, 9th round. I think he's going right now mid-7th. I wouldn't take him there, but he would be like an 8th or 9th round guy for me, Zay Flowers. I do have one question. A guy that we have not talked about who switched teams, DK Metcalf. He's the only guy. They got Calvin Austin, Robert Woods, Scotty Miller, Ben Skoranek. It's DK Metcalf now. I think we all agree that Aaron Rodgers is much past the great Aaron Rodgers of before. But we saw last year, he will force the ball to his favorite wide receiver, Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson. Look at their fantasy numbers from last. The Jets fucking stunk. They were terrible. But Aaron Rodgers will force the ball. Can't you see him forcing him the ball like he does Devontae Adams?
They're sharing a suite in the dorm room. My worry here is this.
He's going in the 5th or 6th round. I think DK Metcalf. He's going just before Marvin Harrison Jr. Who would you rather draft right now, Marvin Harrison or DK Metcalf? I take DK.
DK Metcalf, but he faces low volume, going to be a run heavy, and this is going to be the first time in like 4 or 5 years that Aaron Rodgers hasn't had a full say in the offense. Like, is he going to be able to audible plays? Because he was audibling out a lot of runs last year to force it to his boys. Yeah. So, I mean, and those videos, I mean, look, dude, I'm old. I have 2 bad knees. I feel I could do some of these footwork drills better than Aaron Rodgers is doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. And you would know that's what you do. For those who don't know, that's what you do. Eric knows the footwork drills. Wrapping up wide receivers here. Any final thoughts? Any guys that we haven't talked about that you want to give a minute to here?
I think Jaden Waddle could bounce back if Tyreek misses time. Career low 15.4 target per share, 5.5 targets per game. I think he's a guy we could look for a bounce back. Obviously, we need to closely monitor what's going on with the Commanders with Scary Carey. He was great last year, but if he holds out, how is that going to affect anything? The Chiefs, sorry, I don't want anything to do with them. Nothing to do with the Chiefs wide receivers. We talked about it during the quarterback episode. They just kind of go through the motions in the regular season. And then I would steer clear of these elite wide receiver 2s like T. Higgins, Devontae Smith, even a borderline version of Jameson Williams. I don't want those guys. The only guy I'd want to be Waddle, and that's only if Tyreek Hill gets hurt or gets traded or starts his porn career.
Yeah, just for me, sort of closing up, some guys who I think are being drafted later, and then some guys who I think are value in drafts. Mike Evans, 5th, 6th round, I think is a steal. DK Metcalf, the same thing, right there in that same range. And Cortland Sutton, we talked about it. I think he is a nice steal there in the 8th round. Emeka Egbuka, way later in drafts, would be my sleeper. You're getting good value on him. You can get him way down at pick 128. And a guy that Eric mentioned, I think will get a ton of targets. I think it's really hard not to look at Jacoby Myers, essentially the only real wide receiver they have out there for the Las Vegas Raiders. Again, we appreciate you guys. Be sure to check out our entire season-long breakdown, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. It's all here. Tune in, subscribe to the channel, like the channel. We're going to be breaking down every DFS slate. We're going to have ways to get a hold of us with Patreon and all sorts of information. We plan on having a great DFS season, so please check out all of our content. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, all that good stuff. We will be back for our DFS content throughout the preseason when warranted. And, of course, week 1, Thursday night game. Then we'll have the Friday night showdown. And then we'll have our Saturday slate all week 1. So that's all coming up in a few short weeks. We really appreciate you guys. From myself, Eric, everyone else. Have a great week. Enjoy some of the preseason football. And, of course, good luck on all your future weeks.